Hey guys, this is Sports with Dylan. The NFL trade deadline is approaching rapidly, which is crazy because it feels like the NFL season just started. But it is coming on Halloween. Not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. So while you guys are all out trick-or-treating or partying or whatever the heck else you do on Halloween, I will be sitting in here following the NFL trade deadline. So today I decided to make a list of the top 10 best players who could be traded at the deadline. Kicking it off, we've got Zach Ertz, the Arizona Cardinals tight end. Zach Ertz, in my opinion, is still a pretty good tight end, although he is starting to get up there in age, and he is a pending free agent, which makes him the perfect candidate for a trade. There are a couple good teams that could be looking for someone like Zach Ertz, such as the Miami Dolphins and New Orleans Saints, who have had no help from their tight ends with Durham Smythe and Juwan Johnson this season. Another dark horse candidate would be the Cincinnati Bengals, because Irvin Smith hasn't looked that great this year either. And while they do have a sufficient amount of receivers for Joe Burrow, it would be cool to add one more good tight end weapon and someone that can block as well for him. There are quite a few safeties on this list, starting with Harrison Smith. Why are there so many aging safeties on bad teams that should be traded? I have no idea. There just are. The Vikings should probably finally look to cut ties with Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith has been a great player for them for a long time now, but he's starting to show his age, as well as the fact that the Vikings aren't the same team this year as they were in the past. They very clearly are not even close. They are struggling with their record. They can't get wins. They're not the team they once were. So it would be wise to trade away some of their aging veterans for draft capital. And that starts with Harrison Smith. One of the best destinations I could find for Harrison Smith was the Philadelphia Eagles, a competitive team that has some good safeties, but it never hurts to add a bit more. And if anyone were to make a trade to add more depth, it's definitely going to be the Eagles. The Eagles are also the team that acquired a different aging safety in Anthony Harris from the Vikings just a couple years back, and I could see that repeating itself. Eddie Jackson is another safety on a bad team in the NFC North. Eddie Jackson has been with the Bears for quite a long time now, and these past couple of years, the Bears just haven't had it. I'm not sure if Eddie Jackson was on my list last year, but I definitely saw him as a trade candidate for the Bears. And that has not changed this year, especially with the Bears trying to revamp their secondary to make it younger. Eddie Jackson just doesn't fit that, while he is still a quality safety. I think one of the best destinations for Eddie Jackson would be a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, because of the fact that their safeties just haven't played that well this year. Daxton Hill's looking better, but I still haven't seen him quite develop. And that could still happen, but they could use more help. They don't have any other safeties aside from Daxton Hill that are even showing any promise. So I think it would be very wise to make the addition of Eddie Jackson. Taking a break from all these safeties, we get to move on to New York Giants defensive lineman Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is 29 years old and a pending free agent, which makes him, once again, a perfect candidate for a trade. The New York Giants are a team that I expected to be much better this year, and just have not had it at all. I could still see them easily bouncing back, but at this point in time, they are not playing well enough to justify keeping a superstar who is a pending free agent. Which means that Leonard Williams has to go. I think the best destination for Leonard Williams would be the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders were forced to release Chandler Jones after the fact that he got arrested and also just wasn't getting along with the team. There were some more inside issues there. So they end up releasing him. And there's definitely a hole on the Raiders defense. Actually, there's multiple right now. Max Crosby is carrying the entire thing. But they can change that by adding another good player in Leonard Williams. Courtland Sutton is a very good receiver on a struggling Broncos team. And he and fellow wide receiver Jerry Jeudy have both been circulating in trade rumors. I think Sutton is a better candidate to get traded because he has shown more this season, so I think he can get more value in a trade. And also, I think Jeudy can still develop into more, while I think Sutton's pretty much peaked and might even be getting to the point where he could be going downhill. I think the best destinations for Sutton would be a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, who none of their receivers have shown anything this year. Sky Moore has looked not very good, not what I was hoping from him to develop. Rashee Rice, the rookie, has actually looked pretty good for a rookie. Kadarius Toney, who they traded for last year, just hasn't done anything, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling has looked bad as well. They did just trade for former Chiefs receiver Mecole Hardman from the Jets, but I don't think he's anything for an upgrade. So I think they would be wise to make a trade like this. Another team would be the Green Bay Packers, who, as I've mentioned over and over and over and over again, desperately need wide receiver help. They don't have anyone on that team that I would go and say, okay, this is a solid pass catcher. Aaron Jones, their running back, is arguably their best pass catcher as well, which is definitely a problem. So, Courtland Sutton could upgrade that and give another weapon to young quarterback Jordan Love. The final destination I'm going to list would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. George Pickens, the sophomore receiver, has looked quite good this season. But aside from that, the Steelers just haven't had much of an offense as a whole. But with an upgrade in Courtland Sutton, then they could get that, especially with their number one receiver, Deontay Johnson, on injury reserve. And we're back to the safeties. Budda Baker is an elite safety on an awful Arizona Cardinals team. He had requested a trade earlier this past offseason and then proceeded to get injured and has been on the physically unable to play list since. This is a trade that's not exactly going to help the team this year. Although Budda Baker will likely come back this season, but it will be in a couple more weeks. But this is a trade that you're looking to the future for. I think the best destination for Budda Baker would be the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have suffered quite a bit from injuries this year. They just haven't been able to stay healthy, and yet the team is still playing amazingly. But as I read from NFL.com, they quoted that every week it feels like the Lions suffer some injury that should hinder them, and yet it doesn't, but sometime it's got to. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, their number one safety, is out for the season, which means that it could be wise to invest in another safety, someone such as Budda Baker. Okay, I promise this is the very last safety on this list. Justin Simmons has been a superstar in Denver for multiple years now. And he continues to play well. But as mentioned earlier with Courtland Sutton, the Broncos just haven't had it this year. And Justin Simmons would be the kind of player that you look to trade away if you can get some value for him. So it would make sense all around. I think the best destination for Justin Simmons would be the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are a team that have had no secondary help at all this year, which they desperately need. I originally thought the Rams were going to be awful. And yet they've turned out to be pretty good, which means it would be wise to make a trade for someone at all in the secondary. Someone that can help you. Because that secondary has been very, very bad. So, like I said, Justin Simmons would be great for a team like the Los Angeles Rams right now. Coming into the top three, I have Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter is a very good defender on a bad Vikings team. And just like Harrison Smith mentioned before, it would be wise for the Vikings to start trading away some of these players. Better yet, Danielle Hunter is a pending unrestricted free agent who is unlikely to re-sign with the team, and there were already talks about him getting traded before the season even started. It sounds like he is unhappy with his contract situation. So it would make perfect sense to get traded. I think the best destination for Danielle Hunter, and this is a fun one, is the Buffalo Bills. With Matt Milano getting injured for the entirety of the season, that leaves a hole in this defense. And I believe Danielle Hunter would be the perfect one to fill it. Besides, the Bills are a team that need to be competing for the Super Bowl. They need to win it soon, or else their time's going to start to expire. They're going to start to lose players like Von Miller to age, and Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. And bit by bit, Stephon Diggs starts to phase out. And you start to lose all these superstars. Now is the time for the Bills to win. And if Matt Milano's going to get injured like that, then you've got to replace him if it means that you'll win the Super Bowl. And that is what they need to do with Danielle Hunter. That would be such a fun trade for the NFL if that was made. I hope to see this one happen. Brian Burns is a superstar defensive end on a bad Carolina Panthers team. You've probably seen the trend throughout this video, how all the teams are bad, but the Panthers are worse. They're 0-6 this season. Last year, Brian Burns circulated through quite a few rumors when the Panthers were bad. Not this bad, but they were still bad. But they didn't end up trading him. Well, they did trade Christian McCaffrey, and then later the next offseason, DJ Moore. Brian Burns is a pending unrestricted free agent, so I think it's time that you've got to trade him. I think the best destination for Brian Burns would be the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are a team that, aside from Josh Allen and Foyesade Oluokun, who's played very well this season, haven't gotten a lot of help from their defense. Trayvon Walker and Devin Lloyd, both 2022 first-round picks, have not developed as hoped. So you're stuck with a good team that's hoping to win the division and potentially even make a push in the playoffs, but the defense just can't compete compared with the other elite teams in the NFL. But that could change if you acquire a guy like Brian Burns. This is a player I have not seen on many trade lists, which surprises me because I think he is a perfect candidate to be traded. Saquon Barkley is a superstar running back on the New York Giants. But remember a couple minutes ago when I said that the Giants should probably start selling out on their unrestricted free agents? Yep, I was talking about Saquon Barkley at the same time as Leonard Williams there. Saquon Barkley has been a good running back for a long time on the Giants, but failed to receive an extension in the running back market this offseason. He did get franchise tagged, which made him unhappy, and then there were talks of a trade, but he ended up resolving it by signing a one-year contract with the Giants. But he's still a pending unrestricted free agent. And with the Giants being as bad as they are, it might make sense just to cut your losses and trade Saquon Barkley. Pretty much the exact same thing as what happened with the Christian McCaffrey trade just a year ago. I think one of the best destinations for Saquon Barkley would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are a team that have been way better than I expected and are looking to win their division. Their rushing attack just hasn't had that much, though, this season with Rachaad White. And this is a team that could use a good rushing attack because Baker Mayfield is your starting quarterback. So if they acquired Saquon Barkley, they would automatically be much better. But the best destination for Barkley has to be the Baltimore Ravens. Their starting running back, J.K. Dobbins, tore his Achilles in Week 1, ending his season. Gus Edwards is a solid backup running back, but he isn't a superstar, and the Ravens are a team that love to run. So imagine if a team like them acquired Saquon Barkley. Imagine how good they would be. It would be very fun to watch the Ravens and Saquon Barkley on the same team. But we'll have to see if any of these players actually get traded and if they actually go to the teams I think they will go to. There's always some random team that steps in there and trades for a guy you never expected to go there. But they do, and it makes everything a whole lot more fun. But for now, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys again soon.